and moves them around. A cat is actually taking care of its kittens. So does a monkey. Now look at how a monkey's child holds the monkey, holds the mother. It actually clasps the monkey. Now, in both cases, of course the mother is carrying the baby, but in case of a cat where the mother is taking the responsibility of holding the baby and moving forward, in case of the monkey is taking the baby monkey is actually taking the responsibility of holding on to the mother. I think that's the difference which we tend to forget. When you're in an academic situation, you're more like the kitten. Your professors will hold you by the neck. But the moment you get into the industry, you probably have to look for who is your mother. Even more important, in an academic world, success is very clearly defined. How to achieve success is also very clearly defined. Your succeeding at your individual level has got no correlation with what your neighbor does or what your fellow does. None of these apply in a corporate. How is success defined for you in a corporate? How is success measured? If you are 100% but somebody else is also 100%, then are you the best? You are moving from a one paradigm to a completely different paradigm. Now how do you handle this? And where are we preparing our students even for this? And we all understand that even the best of the technically capable people will never deliver if they are not in the right mental frame. So, now the right mental frame, if you have to break it down, there will be lots of soft skills also around it. So I actually have a question to Professor Sadagopan also, and also the educators also. If I have to go back to my engineering days, I spent at least across 6 semesters, at least one subject each in each of the semesters on say numerical methods and maths. And if I go to class 12, class 11, class 10, I spend a lot of time learning integration and differentiation. But if I've asked so many people who have stayed on into core engineering professions. I am not one person who has stayed into core engineering professions. People who have worked for 15 or 20 years have never used integration and differentiation in the work life. They have never used numerical methods in their entire work life. Should we actually rethink of how to take off some of that time? Because of these courses, academic staff is also struggling to finish off those courses. And how do we also create bandwidth for our own academic staff? Because there are lots of things which our academic staff themselves can do a great job. It's just that we need to give them the time.
It's going back to what he asked, I think in the presentation. Certain things you don't ask ROI. Okay, you'll be surprised. I'm sitting on a committee where the doctor's education, medical education feels that in US, everybody goes through the bachelor's level the same. So the doctors also go through mathematics, more specifically integral calculus. In this country they don't. Now they are doing MRI imaging. Okay, without calculus you don't understand anything. So medical people are saying that look, you engineers have an advantage. We don't get that advantage. You also teach us. But it happens 40 years later. So sometimes it may be very dangerous to kind of take. I'm not saying we have to teach differential equations. Okay? But things like differentiation, integration become so much integral. See, you can't do MP3 algorithm without some of them. But nobody is going to say, okay, at some point in time MPT is going to come, for which I need some compression, for which I need to do some partial differential equations. It's kind of hard. Okay? So I think, I'm not justifying something has to be done, but don't measure everything only by outcome. Specifically numerical methods is a different game. See, what happens is things evolve over a period of time. Early days computers came primarily for being able to produce things like geometric, trigonometric tables, etc., etc. But over a period of time, computers do many more things. So discrete mathematics became far more important than numerical mathematics. So that's why we don't do. So some of these things becomes kind of obsolete at some level. But this is part of the education. We used to teach different ways. Assembler programming we all learned. But we say that we don't have to learn. So certain things we are clearly able to segregate. Certain things we are not. Okay, it's very hard. Going back to this example, we are all saying rote memory is bad. But remember that we don't have rote memory itself. That every time I have to open my memory, I have to open my cell phone to remember who is my father's name and mother's name and children's name. What a terrible stuff it will be. So for certain things you really need rote memory. And particularly these boys and girls, they're kind of moving around with 20 boyfriends and girlfriends. If they have to remember every time, they'll get very upset, right? So at least 20 they should remember, right? So certain things we should not question. Sorry about the long answer.
Yeah, and actually I agree with Professor in a big way. What I learned from those maths classes is problem solving. And one cannot really directly correlate, exactly how it is. Maybe the equations I won't remember, maybe because I didn't study them well. But what I still learned is problem solving.
Which equation to go to or which book to go to?
Yeah, that's the other point possibly. At least you know that which places to go to and what is important. You also maybe do not, if you face similar problems, you may not underestimate the complexity of some problem. And to give you a view here, I used to play bridge a lot in campus, and I learned so much about that in my management life. You try to anticipate your opponent's thinking, sometimes your partner's thinking, and you learn to take risks. You know always that the best line does not always work. You do your best and you take the best line, you take the textbook approach, and you will fail. And sometimes it will happen the other way. Now, I'm just giving you an example of how one can really carry on a learning from one domain into another domain. And I agree with Professor actually, so some of these we should not question. With these, can we now have some questions? And please ask some difficult questions.
Yes, sir. So I'm Kumar from Moderator Engineering. I have a question where I'd like to ask how do we motivate students? So when we are trying to say this word, when we are talking about the good students, the green students, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to teach them. We don't want them to come to the colleges because as Sadagopan said, disturbance. Now when you are trying to talk about mediocres and people who are not doing well, it's very, very difficult to motivate them. How do you do that? You have an answer.
By the very fact that I'm a co-founder of a finishing school, I only have this kind of children who come to us. And so we only live with this. We only live with problems. For the last 1 year, we're only dealing with people who have not got 60%, who have just got ordinance, who are not getting jobs, who are attending 10 interviews, 20 interviews and not got jobs. They have a confidence problem, socially issues in terms of money or whatever is the case. So I think what we have learned, we've still not expressed. We're just learning. The only thing what we've learned is to build their confidence. And if that guy doesn't have confidence, he's not got anything. And because of the peer pressure, there are a lot of pressures these guys go through. It's very difficult in today's life to live a life of a student. That way we are all very fortunate. Today with this media blitz, what's happening out there, it's not good. It's really not good for the minds of our kids. Their aspirations are moon high, and they want the shortest possible route. Unfortunately, life it's not there. You can't go. Life is not as simple as that. And added to the fact that there's so much pressure he goes through. He has to attend classes during the day, then he has social pressures, he has parental pressure, saying I've invested so much money, where are the results, when are you going to get a job, this guy has got this kind of job, this person has got, and then it goes up to beyond that, it goes up to brides and bridegrooms and a lot of things which people go through. And basically, one of the reasons why this person has become a mediocre guy is nothing genetically wrong with him. Is basically because the environment, the social environment, the pressure which he goes through, he just gives up. His confidence is drained out and he gives up. And as facilitators, as coaches, the only way we can bring him back